Hello, friends. It's Lisa Williams here, Chief Inspiration Officer at Perfect Side Gigs. We are having so much fun on our interview series, Corporate Entrepreneur. We're hearing from all these amazing experts who have made that leap from corporate into amazing business building and the principles of entrepreneurship. And what I love about all the speakers is they also have a passion for helping others build their business and serving others. So our next guest is someone that is personally one of my mentors. This man has poured so much belief into me in my own personal journey, and ironically doesn't come from the background that he's currently pursuing his business building, but nonetheless, because of his high standards of integrity, his amazing work ethic, and his big-hearted passion for others, he's been able to build an amazing business and is helping others do the same. So, Mr. Dan Ebert, welcome to our show.
Lisa, thank you so much for having me. How you doing?
I am doing great. So I want to start by, your story is so amazing. I love, Dan came from actually the restaurant business. And, I love your story of how you got into the business that you're in now. Just start by sharing a little bit about your journey with us.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Lisa. And I love our business. I got a deep passion for what we do now. I'll kind of take you back a little bit, my beginnings, getting into my previous life, which was restaurants. But, I grew up in a very small town in the Midwest called Chicago, Illinois. I don't know if you've ever been there. I live in California now, but I grew up in Chicago. And my parents were one of those families that was left behind by the financial industry. My parents fought over money a lot. And eventually when I was a senior in high school, after we'd moved to California, they split up. They were tired of, going through it, and my mom eventually moved back to Chicago. My dad stayed here. My sister's in San Diego. But when my mom moved back, she had to get back into the workforce. She was, a stay-at-home mom for most of her life. She got back into the workforce, got a job. She had a college degree, bought a house in 2007, lost her job in 2008 with the crash of the market, lost most of her retirement at the same time. And then all of a sudden she was trying to save her house with her retirement. She didn't know about the penalties that are involved by taking your money out and all that different stuff. She eventually drained her retirement. She lost her house. So she was, in her late 50s. She had to move home with my grandparents who were in their 70s, and in 80s at that point. And, she was kind of losing hope. She was my major why for doing what I do now. But she was one of those people that when she turned 62, she took her Social Security early because that's all she had to live on, $1,000 a month. And it's pretty cool right now. She just sent me a text right before this that she got her Mother's Day check, right? So it's pretty cool what we're able to do. But, going back a little bit in my previous career, so what happened was, I ended up going to school. I ended up going to a school called Cal State Fullerton right out of high school. I had to work. I had to get a job going through there. So most people have to work their way through college. I got a job at a country club, as a dishwasher when I was 18 years old. Then I, got promoted to busboy. Then I became a waiter. Then I had a friend of mine who is a bartender at a place called Dave & Buster's, and he got me a job behind there, bar backing and bartending. And I loved it because I was making really good money, as a 21-year-old, but I didn't know what to do with it, right? That was the kind of the story of my life. I got into corporate management. I managed a BJ's. I managed an Elephant Bar. I managed some mom and pop places. I managed a nightclub. I used to help produce comedy shows I'm on the board, 2 different boards for a couple different foundations. One's called Fullerton Cares Autism Foundation, which is based out of Fullerton, where we raise money for children that are affected by autism to get them iPads and build sensory gardens and pay teachers back for what they come out of pocket for. And then we're a part of All for One. I'm wearing my All for One, t-shirt right now. One of my business partners, his name is Jeff Levitan. He is a foundation where They basically build prosperity centers in third world countries. So on the campus, there's a church, a school, a hospital, an orphanage. It's pretty cool. But, I kind of was juggling all these things. I didn't get into All for One until our business. But, I woke up one day after working for all these people, and I realized I've been building somebody else's dream my entire life, right? So, I had this bright idea as a 33-year-old to open my own restaurant, right? Now, all of us that are in the restaurant business, we all know a restaurant's not the safest investment, especially going through things right now with COVID and all that stuff. I've got some friends that own restaurants. They've been closed for, 8 weeks. And all their bartenders and all their servers are out of work right now. It's just kind of crazy what's going on. Luckily, our business is recession proof. Our business has actually tripled in the last 8 weeks, as you can attest to, Lisa. So, long story longer, I get into negotiations with a guy that I used to work for who was selling one of his restaurants. After going far into the process, I was kind of having second thoughts because it didn't look like it was going to be a good business deal for me. And at the same time, my dad got diagnosed with cancer. This was about 8 years ago. And he ended up beating the cancer. He's a cancer survivor, but we pulled out of the deal. And I went back to bartending at a buddy of mine's restaurant in downtown Fullerton. I don't know if you guys have ever been to downtown Fullerton, but I bartended at a place down there, and I had a lot of friends, but I was always looking for something different. I didn't want to do that my whole life. I wanted kind of something on my own, but I didn't know how to do it, right? Everybody wants to open a business, but they don't know what it takes to do it. They don't know how much money they have to come up with, all that stuff. So I remember praying about something like I'm doing now, just those quiet moments you have with yourself, like, man, give me a sign. God, I'm here. I'm loyal. I'm faithful. What's my next move? Because sometimes you gotta stop overthinking things and just have a little bit of faith. And lo and behold, a friend of mine who was working across the street from the place I was working at in Fullerton was approached by somebody from our company. It wasn't the best pitch as I can recall Chris saying it, but it was at right place, right time. Life's all timing. So Chris, listened to what he had to hear, really didn't know him that well, sat down with him, but then introduced him to one of our mentors, who's a guy named Cash Rastan. Cash, owns like 10 offices in our business right now. But when Chris and I met Cash, he was kind of just getting started, in business about 6.5 years ago. I think, Chris and I are making more than double of what Cash was making when we met him right now, and that's just kind of the sign of the times and where our industry is going. So, I started out as a client. I needed to get my finances fixed. I had student loan debt. I had credit card debt. I didn't have anything, say, for emergencies. I didn't have retirement set up because I worked in restaurants. There's really no real retirement programs for people that work in restaurants, right? And I got my finances fixed. I figured if I'm going to maybe take a look at this, I might as well fix my financial house first. So we did, and I was set up on a plan for the first time in my life. I'm the first person in my entire family that's ever sat down with a financial planner, right? My dad did eventually, once he started making some money, but I wish my parents would have found something like we do when they were younger, when they were my age, because they never would have broke up. People don't usually fight because they have too much money, right? They only fight because they don't have enough money, Lisa, right? So, and that's kind of, I want to make sure if I get married, I had kids, we didn't have that financial pressure. Money can cure a lot of things, some things it can't. But if money can fix it, it's not a real problem. That's one thing I've learned, over the years. So, I got started part-time. I got my license. I knew a lot of people that needed help, but I wasn't confident in sitting down with people because I'm a fish out of water. I don't know anything about our industry. 99% of the people that come work with our firm don't come from the industry. Now, I've got a guy on my team named Art. He's been a financial guy for 52 years. He started as a stockbroker with Dean Witter and moved to all kinds of different companies. But we also have people that are stay-at-home moms that do this. that make really great money, and I know, Lisa's a mom entrepreneur as well, but she runs multiple businesses as well, and she's awesome as well. So if you are following her, follow her more, right? That's my plan for you, Lisa. You're awesome. But, I started slow. I made a couple bucks on the side, and then I was like, you know what? I think I really want to go for this. So once I made that decision, remember that word decision. Once you make a decision in life, that's when your whole life changes. So once I made the decision, I became a broker and opened my first office 5 years ago. It was actually in March 21st, 2015. And now we have a few different offices right now. So funny, I've got right now the vice president of Nationwide is calling me right now because we're doing so much production. Probably to congratulate us on our last month, but it's pretty cool. We work with all kinds of cool companies, reputable companies, and I love doing what I do. To any questions, but like I want to kind of tell this story about some of the magic of this business. But if you want to ask any questions, Lisa.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions, our topic of the series is corporate to entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of people that have, did what you did, where they got out of college, they kind of landed in whatever, really not necessarily purposely. But then they never started a new iteration of themselves. They just stayed there. I think there's a lot of people that have just stayed. And I'd love for you to tell them, tell our audience about the joy that you've experienced by taking a leap on yourself, really, is what you've done.
Right. And I think there's a misconception out there, Lisa, that people think having a corporate job is safe. We're learning right now it's not. With me in the restaurant business and a lot of corporate jobs, there's a term we refer to as the golden handcuffs. You're going to make that much money. A lot of people are, they're going to do enough, not to get fired, right? And vice versa. So, but a lot of people have that inner entrepreneur inside of them. They want to open a business. They just don't know how to do it. The number one reason that businesses fail is they don't have a mentor. It's the number one reason. They don't have a mentor in business. What's cool about what we do is, Lisa, you're on my team, right? And you're an entrepreneur. I will always have a vested interest in your success. Besides the fact you're a beautiful person and you're awesome, you're a great businesswoman, right? And, I just want to see you win. That's kind of how our business model works. But a lot of people just don't know how to do it, right? And I think that you got to walk out of fear and walk into faith at some point in your life. When you make decisions based on fear, nothing good ever happens. I've seen a lot of people, say no or this. I've had clients that I've sat down with, Lisa, they will pull the God card out on me. Like, well, let me pray about it, and I'll come up with my decision. And, and then they'll come back to me, well, we prayed about it and, we just feel it's, God told us not to go this direction. And I just tell them, well, who the heck do you think sent me? Right? So I'm like, so you're telling me God told you not to get out of your debt and save money? What kind of God would do that? Right? So, I think a lot of people's fears keep them from moving forward either in their own business ventures, right? Or bettering their financial situations or everybody thinks about going to the gym and getting back in shape. But sitting around on the couch and eating potato chips isn't going to make it happen. There's pipe dreams, but you have to put plans into action. Anybody can dream it up. We've got a great imagination that God gave us, right? There's many different things. People make money by solving problems, right? Right. So, I think that people have to really focus on not only a good idea, but do the research. But while you're doing the research, you got to go, right? If you don't go and you just stay stuck, you can't complain about the results you didn't get by the work you didn't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And you gotta, but as long as you have somebody that's a mentor and encouraging you and doing all these different things, then you can't lose. It's like having a personal trainer at the gym who's got a vested interest in you becoming successful, right? And you know what's cool about our business? You're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself, right? At the same time. But a lot of people, they just need somebody to tell them they can do it. You know what? You can do it. You're a champion. You're just a winner who hasn't won yet, you know, at the same time. And I love that part about what we do too. There's a lot of encouragement involved. But our business aside, sometimes people just need one person or two people that are in their fan club that are telling them they can do it, because a lot of times the world has a really nasty way of discouraging you and bringing you down. There's that little voice in the back of your head telling you you can't do it. You need to stop listening to that voice and start listening to people that are telling you you can do it. That's a really big reason why people succeed, because they got a mentor who's been there, who's done that. They're saying, hey, I was just like you at one point. I know you can do it. Let's go. Because when people fall down, they need a hand getting picked back up sometimes. And I love it. I love the fact that, you know, I love the fact that I see you growing. I've seen you grow so much. You know, you're an awesome person. You were a successful businesswoman. You know, before this business, you were more successful than I was in business, you know, but, you know, Lisa believed in me. She saw my vision where we were going, you know, and I just think that, you know, I'm interested to see where she's headed, right? And I know she's going to kill it. I know she's going to make, you know, multiple seven figures in our business, but also in her other business as she moves forward. And it's the biggest gift you get as an entrepreneur is seeing the people that you trained grow and become better than you ever could be. You know, Steve Jobs used to talk about that. You know, just go find people that are better than you. Jobs used to talk about it all the time. I go look for people that are better than me, and they run my company, right?
Right.
The ideas, right? But
one of the things, Dan, I have witnessed in this entrance that I've had in this world of entrepreneurship is so many people, they start as one version of themselves, but they just evolve to this amazing version. I mean, tell me a little bit about what you've witnessed in your journey and the people you've surrounded yourself with and yourself.
Right. Don't you think, Lisa, most people know that they've got something more in the tank than they've been?
Absolutely.
Everybody has this, everybody's got this dream inside their head, right? Of the person that they could be. But a lot of times they have this restrictor plate in their mind, and that's as far as they allow themselves to go, you know? I've seen growth in myself, right? You know, I've seen growth in the people around me, the relationships. My relationships are better. I met my fiance in the business, right? If she knew the old version of me, believe me, she wouldn't have dated me, right? We might have went on one or two dates and she would have been like, this guy's crazy, right? But personal development plays into a lot of it, you know? I read more books than I've ever read in my life. You know, I attend seminars. I've seen, you know, obviously Ed Milet, you know, he's a big, you know, role model for me and mentor. But Jeff Levitan, who started the All for One Foundation, you know, that's like my brother from another mother. He's a, you know, great entrepreneur. Cash Rastan. I've seen all these guys grow and they poured into me, but I've also seen people on our teams grow, right, as it goes along. One of the big sayings that people say, you know, I think Jim Rohn said this: work harder on yourself than you do at your job. If you do that, then you can't lose. But some people love and treat and work harder at their job than they do in their relationships and their personal life, and that's where people get into trouble, right? You got to work on you. You know, I used to be a bartender. I used to drink, I used to smoke cigarettes. All my friends used to drink and smoke cigarettes. And I've cut all that stuff out, you know, since I've been in this business. I have a beer every once in a while. I'm a bartender from Chicago, right? Every once in a while, yeah, I tip a couple back, but it's not like I'm having 5 or 6 a night, right? It's not like I'm smoking, 4, 5, 6 cigarettes a day, right? It's not like I'm doing all this stuff. The greatest gift I've gotten from what we do is just the personal growth, the leadership, all that stuff. The world needs more leaders, don't you believe? They don't need sheep, they need shepherds, right? And the more leaders we can produce, as people, John Maxwell talks about it all the time. Leadership, we need more leaders. That's his whole goal. He wants to produce 1 million more leaders before it's all said and done. If you can teach people how to be a leader, because everybody's got it in them. It's about a good leader pulls it out of people, and they never take credit for it. I'll never take credit for your success, Lisa. I'll blame myself if you fail, and I won't take credit if you succeed, and that's what a true leader does, I believe. But my mentality wasn't always that way. I used to blame people. I used to blame people for situations and circumstances and all these different things where, at the end of the day, it was always the person in the mirror who was responsible for the plight that I had in life. It wasn't nothing outside controls you. If you let other things outside of you control you, you've lost the game. You got to be able to control your thoughts and your inner, and that's how you win the game, and I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. But, I want to talk a little bit. I can't believe we're almost out of time. Holy cow. You and I could talk forever, Dan.
You're like my sister.
I want to talk a little bit about the mission that the company has, because I've recruited in financial services for almost 25 years. And it's time that there's a change in this industry, the oldest, kind of most stuck up industry in general. Right. Let's face it, but just tell us a little bit about the mission itself and what you do for families.
Well, think about it. I kind of mentioned it earlier. Nobody ever helped my family. Nobody helped me. I could have went, if I would have stayed in the restaurant business, I would have went my entire career without ever sitting down from somebody from Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley. I've got a friend of mine who works at Morgan Stanley, not to knock them, but kind of, right? He can't help me with my finances. If you go to them, hey, I got $100 a month to save, they're going to laugh you out of the building, right? I love the fact that we can help somebody that's got $1 billion, and we can also help a single mom that's paycheck to paycheck protect your family, right? It doesn't matter who you are. We still charge people the gigantic fee of $0 when we sit down with them. I mean, even if somebody's got a financial planner, does it make sense to get a second look at it? If I was diagnosed with some sort of crazy disease by some doctor, you bet your ass I would get a second and a third opinion from other doctors, but that's the problem. People have one person. That's the only viewpoint they have. What I've noticed is everybody's got a hole in their boat somewhere. It's our mission. It's our crusade. If we don't help families, who's gonna? Think about yourselves that are watching this. When's the last time you got a call from a big financial firm showing you how to get out of debt, save money, set up college funds for your kids, all this stuff? It's not happening. We're getting screwed by the banks left and right. They're taking our money. They're making big profits. And are they sharing the profits with us, Lisa?
Nope.
Not at all. The banking industry doesn't like us, but I don't care, right? Because I'm here for my clients. I'm here for my family. I'm here for all my teammates, right? And I love doing what I do. And I love saying screw you to the system sometimes too, because they don't really care about us too much in general, in my opinion. Now, maybe I'll start getting some calls after people say this with somebody just breathing on the other line, but whatever. You can't live life in fear, but I don't care. I think that people have a right to know. One of our crusades and missions is to get what we teach into the educational system. Can you imagine, Lisa, if they taught kids about entrepreneurship in high school, how to buy a car, how compound interest works, how credit card works, how to buy a house, what's all this? Can you imagine if they taught kids real life stuff like that rather than how to pass a test? Unbelievable, right? But as it stands right now, I'm trying to get this education as an AP class to the high school I went to. I'm talking with, the principal and some of the leaders of that school, and I'm in works of teaching an AP class next year just as a trial run. Because if we can empower people with this knowledge, adults can teach it to their kids, who can teach it to their kids, and people aren't going to have to struggle with money anymore. You shouldn't have to struggle with money. We're in the richest country in the history of the world right now, but there's still people living in poverty. They can't pay their bills. They're paying 24% for a credit card. Are you kidding me? The mob wants to know how these credit cards are getting away with this stuff. Right? So, it's one family at a time. It's being passionate about what we do. People might not take my advice. They might not take my help. They may not come into business with me, but you can bet your ass, Lisa, by the time I'm done with them, they're going to go, man, that guy really believes in what he's doing. Right. So, and that's a win in my book. Our job is to tell our story, let the chips fall where they may. If they need our help, they can ask. If they want to come into business with us, let us know. We can set up a one-on-one, a powwow to see if it's a fit. But I'll tell you this, what we do. Anybody that watches this, from the horse's mouth, if you ever want a free financial plan from us, let us know. Free of charge, no strings attached. At least see where you're at. It's not going to hurt for you to see where you're at. And guess what? Our business opportunity, who doesn't need to make a few extra grand a month? Think about most people, if they made an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month on the side part-time, what would that do for their financial lives and the future of their family? It would change everything. So that's my take. I know we're pretty much right on the dot, a half hour.
We are, right? Pretty good. We're pretty good. I do want to ask one more question.
No problem.
So if I know you and Kate are going to have beautiful babies. So picture yourself in 20 years from now, and you're sitting on the porch of this fabulous home that you've earned because you've worked hard, and your grandkids come up to you, maybe not quite grandkids, but at some point they come up to you and they say, Grandpa, we learned about COVID-19 in school today. I heard people went crazy. What did you do?
Well, I would tell my grandkids I refuse to live my life in fear. I tripled down on my efforts. I grew my company, our company, quadruple during that time. And because we focused and put our head down during that time, that's why you guys are able to reap the benefits that you're seeing right now. That's why we're able to do that, and at the end of the day, we are doing this stuff for our families, right? But I want everybody to know out there, COVID's not an excuse to bury your head in the sand, right? You can build a business. You can do it from home, right? I want them to know that we built something big during this time rather than backed away in fear and used excuses as to why we didn't win during this time. That's what I would say to them.
I love it. Well, Dan, you've been brilliant. I so appreciate your time. To our audience, I'm so glad you tuned in. Be sure that you join us next time on our amazing series, Corporate to Entrepreneur, where we're hearing from these experts who have made that brave leap themselves. And most importantly, they're showing others how to do it. So thank you, Dan. We'll see you soon.
Lisa, you're awesome. We love you. Congratulations on all your success as well. You're a beautiful human.
Thank you. Bless you all in your life journey.
Yes. God bless.